Tape 3W suivi d'école au Sénégal.com. À école au Sénégal, c'est facile, tu n'as qu'à te connecter. Tape école au Sénégal, les leçons sont beaucoup plus détaillées.
Good morning, everyone. Merry Christmas. 'Tis the season to be jolly. I hope everybody is doing okay. It is Teacher Raisa here at your service. A couple of weeks ago, we started off with our 12 tenses. I hope that we all remember we did from the past to the present to the future, and that they had in each section we said had 4, and that brings it up to 12 tenses. And I had promised us that we were going to come back to do some exercises just to be able to boost us up a little bit, and as well as for you to have more insight, as well as to be acquainted with it. So today we're going to look at 3 of the tenses. We're going to start simple. The past simple, the present simple, and the future simple. And we're going to look at different exercises in your categories of the neutral, the positive, the neutral, the question, and then the negative, okay? And so on the board, we're going to start off with the present simple. And we have a couple of exercises that we're going to answer together, you know, and if you know the answer, you can join along and try to answer and try to practice. It touches like different areas, different personal pronouns that have been summed up that you can, you know, we know what the personal pronouns are: he, she, it, we, they, you. And so this is, we're going to start off with the present simple. Okay, so number 1 talks about 375 million people. There's a dash. English as your second language. So what is that going to be for present simple? Remember that with present simple, we do not add. The verb stays the same except for the third person singular, which is he, she, it. And so when we talk about 375 million people, is that a third person singular, or it's just the normal personal pronoun? So what would that be about 375 million people, English as your second language? It would be speak. Speak. And why didn't we add the S? Let me take a different color so it'll be much more sharp. Why didn't we add the S? We didn't add the S because it's in plural. Remember we talked about first person, he, she, or singular that you add an S. But so because this is a plural, so there's no S. And so about 375 million people speak English as your second language. Okay, but if it were a third person, you know, singular, it would have been Sharon speaks English as a second language, because Sharon represents a she, okay, and it's a third person singular, which automatically you have to add an S. Okay, so number 2, an adult skeleton, which is us, an adult skeleton dash about 20 bones. So what would that be, an adult skeleton? An adult skeleton. So what would that be? Has. And why is it has? Because a skeleton is a third person. It has. It's a third person singular. And of course, obviously, you have to add an S. So it becomes an adult skeleton has about 20 bones, or 200 bones, I'm sorry. And so it has. This represents it. It has about 200 bones. Okay, so the next one is children love ice cream. And I put here negation, means a negative. You have to put it in a negative form. What would that be? Children love ice cream. You see that the children and the love, there is no S. Why? Because children is plural. Okay, and so when it's plural for the present simple, there is no S. You know, but if it were, if you had to personalize it, for example, Israel, you would say Israel loves ice cream, because it's personalized and it's a third person singular. Okay, and so to put it now in a negative form, what would that be? Children love ice cream. It would be, how would you say that in negative form? Remember, the negative form is about the no or the not. So you would say some children don't like ice cream. Okay, and of course, don't, this is an informal. Okay, we talked about abbreviations. Remember when we had the class about formal and informal, we said abbreviations are often the informal, okay? And so some children, I forgot the children. Let me put some children don't like ice cream. But if it were Isaiah loves ice cream, in a negative form it would be Isaiah doesn't. It has, and it becomes the doesn't because of the S. It's a third person singular. So it becomes some children don't like ice cream. It's a negative form. But if you had to put it in a question form, what would that be in a question form? What would that be? You would say, do children. It becomes, do children love ice cream? But if it were Isaiah again loves ice cream, but you had to put it in a question form, it would be, does Isaiah love ice cream? So please be careful. The S is always a third person singular. Does Isaiah love ice cream? But in general, when you talk about children, it's plural. It's so many kids. It is, do children love ice cream? That's in the question form, interrogative form that we talked about. But because this is in the negative form, it becomes, some children don't like ice cream. Okay, or you can just say children. If you don't want to put the some, you can simply just say children don't like ice cream. Okay, and then we talk, the next one is most spiders. You see the S, most spiders dash 8 eyes. What would that be? Most spiders, is it going to be has or have? You're right, it is. Most spiders have. It cannot be the S because it has an S and spider. It's plural, okay? It's plural, so most spiders have 8 eyes. But if it was just a spider, okay, just a spider, it would be a spider has. And this will be off. A spider has 8 eyes. But when you talk about most spiders, when you talk about spiders, even without the most, it becomes spiders have 8 eyes. Okay? And then we go now to the next part about the PM. PM means Prime Minister, okay? In this particular context, it means Prime Minister, just because I just don't want to write it in full, you know. But the PM of Great Britain, we know Great Britain, right? It's UK, it's England. So the Prime Minister of Great Britain dash, because of the space, at number 10 Downing Street. So what would you put there? The Prime Minister of Great Britain, you have a lot of verbs that you can put there, okay? But in this context, the Prime Minister of Great Britain leaves. You see my S? Because it's one person, just the Prime Minister. It's one. So he leaves, or you can even say works. Whichever, S. He leaves or works at number 10 Downing Street. But if it were with an S for prime ministers, you would say there would not be no they, actually, but it would be prime ministers of the world or of Great Britain, if there were so many, which there aren't. It's just a hypothesis, okay? Prime ministers of Great Britain leave at number 10. But because this is one, so the Prime Minister of Great Britain leaves at number 10 Downing Street, or works at number 10 Downing Street. The S, because it's just one person. The next one, his school bag is brown, and I put in brackets question. So it means that you have to transform this sentence in a question. What do you think that would be? His school bag is brown. What do you think that would be if you want to put it in a question from? Yes, you're going to say is his school bag brown? That's in a question from. Is his school bag brown? Because it's a question. But if you were in a negative form, you had to put a negative form. What would that be? His school bag isn't brown. That would be in a negative form. That would be in a negative form. I'm sorry, my chalk just fell. I'm gonna grab another one. In a negative form would be his school bag isn't, is not, whichever you want. That would be if you had to put it in a negative form. But because this sentence talks about putting in a question form, it's gonna be, is his school bag brown? Is a present simple. Is a present simple, to be. And then the monkey wants some bananas. The monkey wants some bananas. How do you put that in a negative form? The monkey wants. You see that there's an S in the monkey because it's a third person singular. The monkey could be, it's a living thing, so it wants, or he or she wants some bananas. In a negative would be what? Because it's a third person singular, in a negative would be the monkey doesn't want some bananas. You see that now the want here has no S because the S has gone to the do. The monkey doesn't want some bananas. If it was in a question form, what would that be? Does the monkey want some bananas? Does the monkey want some bananas? That is in a question form, but in a negative form, the monkey doesn't want some bananas. I hope that it helps. This is some of the exercises I just taught us to have like a refresher course as far as the present simple is concerned. Take note about when to use the S. It's a third person singular, and sometimes it could be represented in a personal pronoun or the name of a person, okay, or everything, okay, so be careful. But I hope that it helps in how to differentiate if you have a sentence, or how to put it in both in a negative and in a question or interrogative form, okay. Thank you.
T'as 3 W suivi d'école au Sénégal.